Right on the bottom right side, playing as the red Zerg, I think for liquid is Elazer.
And Logobot's still not working, so have to figure that out. But in the top left-hand corner for Alien Esports, it is SoulSpirit.
Already we have an early gas pull coming off from SoulSpirit. He's gonna get ultra aggressive with the Ling Banes.
Yeah, this is... I mean, this is about how aggressive you can get in ZVZ. You say, all right, listen, it's not just going to be an early pool. No. That's not what we do here. It's also going to be an early pool in gas. That means speed is going to be coming out. That means you're most likely going to have Banelings as well, and Elazer is going for this hatch first. Now, you don't necessarily straight up lose this matchup with these build orders, but I think the thing is it's going to put a lot of kind of the responsibility on Elazer to handle this control almost perfectly. And I think this is a really good way to start off this best of 3 if you are SoulSpirit and you're maybe trying to throw your opponent off just a little bit.
Yeah, especially 2 maps out of the 7 maps that we have currently in the map pool, Berlingrad and Curious Minds, have very short rush distances between the respective bases of the players. So this is completely understandable from SoulSpirit trying to capitalize with this build onto the fact that Curious Minds has a very short rush distance between the naturals of respective players.
Yeah, but here we go. The pool is just now finishing up for Elazer, already going to be pulling those drones, but the real question is, does he expect the speed? Because normally, you'll see 6 Lings, and you'll be like, okay, maybe that's just a 14 pool. It's maybe a little bit fast. Elazer is going to try and chase this down. I think he does have an idea of the fact that this could be a bit more committed, but the thing is there are even more drones coming out. Banelings are now being morphed in, and you really don't want your units to be caught out on the map like this. As he's going to see the Banelings, Elazer now should know the fact that this is indeed pretty much a fully committed all-in. Speed is going to finish up, and now you can start to take this fight if you are SoulSpirit.
Yeah, Elazer already building a spine crawler, but would this be enough? He really needs to deflect these Banelings really well. Oh, that was so close. Wow.
That could have been disastrous.
Yeah, that was an immaculate defense in the end, though. Losing only 1 drone to the Ling Bane. Although he lost the queen, but he still has another one available here.
So far, you
producing a second one.
You can accept losing the queen. I mean, that Baneling could have gotten a massive connection onto the Lings. I think SoulSpirit not quite paying attention, didn't have it attack moved. So it was just running by as the Lings grouped up. But there are more units coming across the map. Mind you, as SoulSpirit, you need to buy enough time that you get your own natural base up for this to be worthwhile. The Banelings are going to run on through, and not all of them are going to get sniped. Actually, a few of them will survive. Only 2 Lings are gone with it, though, and Elazer's supply from this point is just starting to skyrocket. Has so many more units available, and SoulSpirit, it was a good idea, but it just hasn't felt like he's gotten really the damage that he needed.
Yeah, I mean, he's falling back to a natural of his own, but, you know, yeah, they have an equal number of workers at this point, but, you know, over time, Elazer is going to stack up a lot more larva compared to SoulSpirit because he had those queens available much earlier compared to SoulSpirit. So in the end, he's going to overwhelm SoulSpirit in terms of production, and that will really play in favor of Elazer in the long run from here. So SoulSpirit's objective is to stall as much time as possible so that he can match the ability to produce units to that of Elazer, and then he can carry out the game from here.
Yeah. As I mean, the one advantage that right now you have as the blue Zerg here is the fact you have your Baneling nest already, you have your Zergling speed as well, so that is an investment that you're not going to need to make in the future. We see Elazer right now is still working on that speed, only halfway done, and the worker count, I mean, it's been caught up pretty decently. Right now, SoulSpirit is actually ahead. We are going to see that round of 8 drones, though, push Elazer back into that economic lead that he's going to be comfortable with. And from here on out, I mean, it's kind of a weird position for a game, but as you said, Elazer, he's going to have more larva, so he should have just that little bit more production. It's going to be a bit awkward because as SoulSpirit, you will be playing just a tiny bit of catch-up. It's not a massive lead for Elazer, but it's enough that you're not really going to be comfortable as the Blue Zerg in this position.
No, and as mentioned, the drone count discrepancy starting to get further and further ahead for Elazer. And Elazer also spotted this third base from SoulSpirit. So if he chooses to do so, then he can really start to rack up links, or even get start up Roach Warren and then follow up with some +1 timing attack using the Roaches.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now we're just seeing the game, kind of.
Elazer being merciful?
Nah, he's going to chase
Nope,
down the
never
Overlord.
mind.
He's not going to let it live.
Never merciful.
Yeah, he's just going to supply block his opponent. But right now the game is kind of reaching a stalemate. We did see SoulSpirit take that earlier third base just to get that little bit of a tempo advantage, and I think these are some nice moves just to make as a start. Is okay, you get the earlier third, you know you're going to have that advantage. You're keeping a good tabs on where your opponent is actually moving around the map. Does manage to get this lane into the main, which is very, very nice. Gets a full scout of the drone count, kind of where the tech is, sees the layer, and really has an idea of what the Elazer is doing now. And so really it's going to come down now to the mid game, is how does SoulSpirit handle the fact that Elazer is going to have this +1 rain missile attacks, and assumedly is going to be getting a very, very large Roach swell once he has this third base mostly saturated.
Yeah, Elazer already at 58 drones. Probably gonna stop here and then starts to get Roach speed, +1 attack halfway done. Although SoulSpirit is trying to match that with a +1 carapace and then +1 range attack of his own, but still miles behind in terms of the layer timing, which means that his Roach speed will be substantially behind compared to that of Elazer. And Elazer is trying to produce multiple Roaches. He already has 7 more on the way, and they should probably start marching soon. And now the short rush distance is actually going to be in favor of Elazer.
Yeah, and I mean, he's also going to have that Glial Reconstitution on the way. SoulSpirit does have his +1, and if he's able to buy enough time, he will actually have a 1 upgrade advantage. But the issue is, I mean, Elazer's already here. He's got the Roaches across the map. He has his +1 finished right now. He's going to have the Roach speed very shortly. And so I don't know if SoulSpirit is going to have the time to get his own +1 done. Because once he does, if he hasn't taken enough damage, he can probably swing this fight with the defender's advantage. 10 more Roaches on the way. He needs to buy time for them to come on out, though. Because right now, Elazer does just have more available. There are no Spine Crawlers. The Queens are coming in to help as SoulSpirit trying to take this fight. The +1 armor doing quite a good job of keeping these Roaches alive for reinforcements to come across the map, but it is a constant swell of Roaches from Elazer, and I just don't feel like there's enough here for SoulSpirit, even with that defender's advantage. Elazer is just pushing in to try and find the jugular.
Yeah, as you can see from the worker count, SoulSpirit overdrone there really heavily, despite being in disadvantage in regards to production due to the lack of queen count compared to that of Elazer, and now Elazer just completely capitalizing with his healthy economy as well as that +1 timing.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well done. Elazer is going to take game number 1, and it is pretty darn clean from him. And again, don't mind the build choice. I think that was actually a decent option from SoulSpirit. And had that one Baneling gone off on the Club of Lings that accidentally aggroed to it, maybe that game could have looked completely different. But that's not the case. Elazer is able to recover, get into a really, really solid position. The +1 comes through in time. And with the Roach speed as well, making sure that his reinforcements get across the map even faster. It does just look very, very clean from Elazer. And SoulSpirit knocked down 0-1 as we are going to be heading on to Hardwire. And we'll see how this ends up going. If we can see SoulSpirit fight back here, is of course the hope that we maybe will get a 3-game series. But Elazer's ZVZ is just really good. He has what we call the killer instinct. He knows when to go for the throat.
Yeah, and it all began with his stellar defense in the early game. Like I mentioned before the series started that both players really need to be as keen as possible regarding their micromanagement, and Elazer was on top of his game, showing that he is indeed in form for this DreamHack Valencia European Regional. So we'll see what kind of a different approach SoulSpirit would bring on Hardwire. Um, Sometimes you see a lot of the Korean pro players pull out like, 12 pull, pulling all their drones, going completely all in. But Hardwire is one of the maps that's actually not as viable compared to the other maps to pull out such insane all-in strategies,
Yeah.
unless you're like Rogue or Dark. But you know, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I mean, the Korean ZVZ is a completely different beast than the European Zerg versus Zergs, unless you're getting up towards like a Serral versus Raynor or a Elazer match. Like Dark versus Rogue, you're never gonna get a standard game out of those two. They play some really crazy stuff. But as I said, Hardwire, it's a map that's a lot harder to do those early all-ins on, just because of the rush distance, because of how the map is laid out, is just a bit rough to try and make those plays work. So I imagine this is going to be a bit more standard game, and in that case, maybe we'll see something different. But we really don't have an idea of how a macro Zerg versus Zerg will look between these two.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be more orthodox if it were to head towards those that conventional state of game that you mentioned. Probably going to be Roach versus Roach for a while, and then head towards that Hydra Lurker Viper composition in the late game. So we'll see what the approaches of both players would be. But I assume it's going to be starting off with Lingbane, followed by Roach Ravager, and then eventually heading towards the Hydra Lurker Viper.
Yep, we will see as we are going to head on into game number 1, ladies and gentlemen. Or game number 2, sorry. Here we are. We're on to Hardwire.
All right. We have Red Zerg, Team Liquid's Elazer.
And the top right, he is playing for Alien Esports, trying to find his way back into this series. The Blue Zerg, SoulSpirit.
Alright, so far it looks like just identical builds. 16 hatch, 17 gas, 17 pull.
Yeah. And, I gotta say, we were talking about this. I had this confusion for a second when I saw SoulSpirit's name on the list. I was like, huh, what's going on there? The name is very fun. I really can't wait till we get the match of SoulSpirit versus Spirit, previously Soul. Because I feel like that's going to be very confusing for everybody. But we have not gotten that just yet. As we did have a quick pause, we're going to be getting right back on into the action, though, so don't worry. Elazer, his options were just a little bit whack. But that has been sorted out, and we are now on into game number 2. And, it's kind of like, it's that thing that happens where you have two players that have the same name, but just slightly different, and it's always so confusing because I believe it was, because there's 3 different heroes at one point. You remember that?
I only know 2.
Was there only 2? Well, there were 2 different heroes, and that was always a ton of fun. Yeah, 2 different players named hero. But sometimes you get that stuff happening. SoulSpirit, obviously, different player, so we won't get that confused. But
the thing is, they both play Protoss too. Like, at least here we have one Zerg and a Terran, right? But both of them played Protoss, and then we had to, basically decipher it by whether the H was capitalized or not. So
oh yeah,
that was fun times.
But yeah, in this game, no early shenanigans. We're not getting that 14-14 pool gas. We are just seeing both players with the regular 16 hatch into the 17 gas 16 or pool. And so this should be a more standard Zerg versus Zerg. And we don't really have any idea of how that's going to look for SoulSpirit. Because, again, that first game, it's a very different kind of position to play from, where you go for that early, pretty much an all-in, but you can recover out of it. That plays completely different from a standard macro Zerg versus Zerg with the timings, as we are going to see Baneling Nest go down, and both players just getting these timings about as perfect as you would expect. Every single Zerg knows that this is the standard opening.
Yeah, and both players have spotted their counterparts' third base being constructed. So it's now gonna depend on what these two players decide on. Are they actually going to pump out a good number of links to deny the third of their opposition, or are they just gonna continuously drone up and just produce some defensive Bane links and then go from there? But looks like Elazer making a few more links. Probably, I assume, it's going to be for the defensive Banes that I just mentioned. Unless he's going to pump out additional links here. No? 3 more drones, so...
Yeah, usually are just looking at that link count to see what these players' plans are, with both of them having their thirds up and more drones coming out. There's going to be nothing crazy. We're not going to see one player swell the lings to go across the map and try and find some damage. SoulSpirit is going to get 6 more. Again, usually this is just for defense, as he does actually have the faster evolution chamber here. Roach Warrens are going down at the same time, right around 410. And we're going to see the Carapace first once again for SoulSpirit, which is a bit interesting that that's his upgrade of choice, because as you see, Elazer, usually most Zergs will opt for that ranged missile attacks.
Well, basically, it's just trying to, survive from the Bane hits, right? Mm-hmm. If you have the +1 Carapace upgrade, then you don't get one-shotted.
Yeah.
So he's just trying to build additional sustainability, and now we actually see multiple links coming out from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably gonna start, trying to hunt each other's drones or even queens if possible.
Yeah, as we are seeing SoulSpirit just commit here for a few lanes. The Lazer's actually going to be committing across the map, though, so you have to be careful. That Carapace is not done just yet. And again, I said that's the upgrade that you go for.
Oh,
when you want to go. Oh, so close.
Oh my god. That was so close.
I mean, it's still actually taking some really big Bane hits here. Does eventually manage to clean it up, but definitely not how you wanted this trade to start for. Elazer has more units coming in kind of support, but the roaches are here. The connections aren't that good, and SoulSpirit
great body block using the queen.
Taking some great trades here in this link fight, and that was even without the Carapace. You take that upgrade for that link fight, and even without it, SoulSpirit managing to get the advantage, has the roaches now marching across the map, and he's going to look for a counterattack.
Yeah, I mean, he still has 15 links and 10 roaches, but he needs to be careful because the Elazer's waiting with 29 links and just trying to gobble up, but now Elazer going for the counter attack once he spotted the presence of the links at his side.
Oh,
and
no.
Free door, free pass.
This is absolutely brutal. Elazer was just waiting for this moment. He's going to dive onto the middle line. So far, actually not finding really any drone damage until he's going to find his way into the main. The Queen trying her absolute best. She has the +1 Carapace to survive for a little bit longer. And actually, surprisingly, that only one drone has gone down. That did not get as much damage as the Elazer wanted, and he's going to lose all of his lings.
Yeah, I mean, at least one saving grace could be Elazer spotted the presence of lair, but I mean, with the cost of about approximately 20 links, I don't think that's worth it by all means.
You did pocket 2 Banelings there in the main. Is going to send them now into that mineral line. We're going to see what damage that can get done. Oh, SoulSpirit not responding. 6 drones do end up falling, and I mean, it is a bit of damage, but that's kind of the damage that Elazer, I think, was expecting to get from the initial run by. Only just now finding it. SoulSpirit does have a very, very large roach count. Is getting his +1 missile attacks now, so we'll have the Carapace and the missile while Elazer's going straight into his +2. And that's the Spire for SoulSpirit. So he's going to be looking actually instead of heading into, you know, the lurkers, which of course have been nerfed, so you're not really seeing them as much. But instead of heading towards that direction, we're going to see that Spire most likely into Mutalisks. And if you can buy enough time for that transition, you can absolutely swing fights where your opponent is not expecting Mutas.
Yeah, I mean, he has a healthy Roach count, so he won't get overwhelmed easily in the Roach versus Roach battle. So he doesn't even need to build spine crawlers for defensive purposes at this point. As long as he can match Elazer in Roach count, then he can stack up a fairly good amount of resources, and then, you know, pump out maybe 7 to 8 mutas in a single sitting, and then he will have complete map control. Oh,
yeah,
cheeky little drop coming out.
There is not Overlord speed just yet. It's going to be finishing up in about 12 seconds, but SoulSpirit should actually scout that this is a Dropper Lord before then. Has Roaches in position. I imagine Queens should be brought over. And 8 mutas are on the way. There we go. That's going to be the swing. Queen pops out. These drones do need to be pulled. SoulSpirit, there we go, is finally going to react. That's just going to be sent straight towards the natural instead. At the same time, though, Elazer, he's looking for an attack. He has his swell of roaches. He has +2. Does
and he got the kill there.
Kills the 4th. As now, here we go. The attack is going down. The 3rd at the same time, drop in the natural. 6 drones end up falling. And at the front, SoulSpirit not being able to take the fight, but the mutas are out. Elazer needs to trade right now. He needs to find damage right now, and he's absolutely able to do it. The +2 getting so much value, and these mutas, they don't have any upgrades. They don't do that much damage. They're little glaives. They tickle the roaches. There's a nice little massage for them as Elazer is just crushing through his opponent.
Yeah, and as aforementioned, Elazer